Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're heading to the desert.
So nice.
Yeah. And I really want you to picture this. You finally booked that trip to Palm Springs.
You got the mid-century modern architecture in your head.
Exactly. The pool, maybe a tea time at a legendary course. You can practically feel that dry desert heat.
Oh, yeah.
And the way the mountains look at sunset.
It's a very specific vibe. It's what you might call the Palm Springs state of mind.
Oh.
It just feels effortless.
It does. But before you can get that cocktail in your hand or, hit the fairway, there is a hurdle.
Always a hurdle.
Right. And it's one that I think a lot of people underestimate because Palm Springs just seems so chill.
Right. The arrival, that transition from traveler to vacationer.
Exactly. So we are diving into a source today that sounds a bit niche, but it is honestly a masterclass in logistics.
It really is.
It's titled The First Time Traveler's Guide to Palm Springs Airport Transportation.
Which doesn't sound glamorous.
No, not at all. But the big takeaway here is that getting from the tarmac to your hotel in the Coachella Valley isn't as simple as just snapping your fingers and appearing by the pool.
No, it's not.
Hmm.
And the source actually opens with this really interesting concept. They call it the PSP paradox.
I loved that term. It sounds like a Robert Ludlum novel or something.
Right.
Break that down for us. What exactly is this paradox?
So Palm Springs International Airport, PSP, is famous for being unique.
Yeah.
It's open air. It's charming. It has those beautiful outdoor courtyards.
You walk right out into the sun.
Exactly. You get off the plane and you're immediately outside. People love it because it doesn't feel like a sterile hub like O'Hare or LAX.
It feels like a resort. You walk out and see palm trees immediately.
Right, precisely. But the paradox is that convenient and charming do not always mean effortless.
Oh.
The source argues that because it's a smaller open air facility, travelers just sort of let their guard down.
They assume it'll be a breeze.
Right. They think, oh, it's a tiny airport, no problem. But the airport has very specific friction points.
Like what?
Well, limited curb space for one,
Yeah.
intense weather variables, and massive, massive seasonal spikes.
So just because you aren't walking 5 miles to baggage claim doesn't mean you can just waltz out and find a ride immediately.
Exactly. In fact, the curbside crunch is a major focus of the guide.
The curbside crunch.
Yeah. When a bank of flights lands at the same time, that charming little curb becomes a huge bottleneck.
I can imagine.
The infrastructure is lovely, but it really wasn't designed for thousands of people trying to hail a ride simultaneously in a very condensed window.
And the mission of this deep dive today is to decode this. We are going to look at the specific strategies for navigating that crunch.
Handling the unique luggage geometry of a desert trip.
Yes, which is a very real thing we need to discuss.
Oh, absolutely.
And basically ensuring your vacation actually starts when the wheels touch down, not, 2 hours later when you're sweaty and stressed in some hotel lobby.
Because the core argument of this text is that friction is the enemy of the Palm Springs experience. If you are fighting the logistics, you aren't relaxing.
So let's map out this desert logistics landscape. Why does the guide insist that convenience is deceptive here?
It really comes down to volume and timing.
Okay.
The source points out that Palm Springs isn't a steady flow of tourists. It's a series of massive peaks.
Right.
You have the season, basically late fall through spring, where the population of the entire valley practically doubles.
Right. You have the snowbirds coming down from Canada and the Pacific Northwest.
Yep.
But then you layer on the events. You've got Coachella,
Stagecoach.
the massive tennis tournament at Indian Wells, Modernism Week.
And that's when the system gets severely stressed. The guide notes that during these peaks, arrivals just stack up.
How bad does it get?
Well, you might have 3 flights from major hubs, Denver, San Francisco, Chicago, all landing within 20 minutes of each other.
Wow.
And like we said, the infrastructure is cute, but it's not infinite.
So if you are a first-timer, you walk out expecting the sleepy desert airstrip, and instead you're in a mosh pit of people looking for their drivers or fighting for a rideshare signal.
And you're doing it in what might be 100-degree heat, depending on the month.
Yeah, the heat is no joke.
Or, if it's winter, it gets surprisingly chilly and windy at night out there. The guide connects this directly to the stakes of your trip.
Asking what your time is worth.
Exactly. It asks, what is your time worth? If you were there for a wedding or you have a 2 o'clock tea time, a 35-minute delay at the curb isn't just a minor annoyance.
It destroys the itinerary.
It totally does.
It's the domino effect. You're
Y-
late leaving the airport, which means you're late checking in, which means you're rushing to change, and suddenly that relaxed desert vibe is totally
You're
gone.
frantic.
Yeah.
And the text makes an intricate distinction about the quality of the arrival. It argues that reliable transportation is fundamentally a comfort choice.
Interesting.
Yeah, after a flight, even a short one, the mental load of fighting for a ride is draining.
Absolutely.
They argue that a professional chauffeur isn't just about getting a fancy car. It's about the absence of stress. It's about literally buying back your peace of mind.
Okay, so let's get into the tactical side of this. The guide breaks this down into strategies. Strategy number 1 is the timing and booking game.
Which sounds obvious. Everyone knows you should book things in advance.
Right, but there's a nuance here regarding the desert market.
There is.
The golden rule they list is earlier than you think. Now, is this just standard book in advance advice, or is there something specific to the desert here?
It's very specific to the seasonality we just mentioned.
Okay.
The guide emphasizes that the supply of high-quality vehicles in the Coachella Valley is just not unlimited.
Makes sense.
In a city like New York or London, the fleet depth is massive. You can almost always find something last minute.
Sure.
But in Palm Springs, during Modernism Week or the film festival, the good cars, the clean new SUVs, the high-end sedans, they get spoken for weeks out.
So it's not just about getting a car, it's about getting the right car.
Exactly. You don't want to be left with whatever's at the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
The source explicitly says to treat your airport transportation with the exact same urgency as your hotel booking.
Wow.
I mean, you wouldn't wait until you land to pick a room at the Parker or the Ritz-Carlton during a festival weekend.
No, you'd be sleeping on a park bench.
Exactly. It's the same logic. Secure the asset early so you aren't scrambling.
Now, there is a technical detail in this section that I found really, really valuable.
The flight number.
Yes. I usually just punch in my arrival time, say 2:15 p.m. when I book a car, and then I just forget about it.
The guide says that is a rookie mistake. They
Yeah.
call it the flight number secret.
This is huge, and it's something I think people overlook constantly.
Yeah.
The guide insists you must provide the specific airline and flight number, not just the time you think you're landing.
Right.
Why is that distinction so critical for the driver? I mean, can't they just wait if I'm late?
It changes the entire service from reactive to proactive.
Okay, explain that.
When you give the flight number, the chauffeur team or their dispatch office starts tracking the tail number of that aircraft in real time.
So they are basically playing air traffic control for you.
Essentially, yeah.
Huh.
If you are delayed by 40 minutes in San Francisco due to fog, or maybe you catch a massive tailwind and land 20 minutes early, they know before you do.
That's amazing.
They adjust the pickup time automatically. So the driver isn't sitting there for an hour getting annoyed, and they aren't showing up late because they thought you were landing at the original time.
That is a total game changer for peace of mind. Because otherwise, you're just sitting on the tarmac, stressing out, trying to get a signal to text your driver, hey, I'm late, please don't leave without me.
Exactly. The guide says flight tracking removes the guesswork. It allows you to be completely passive.
You just land, and the car's there.
You don't have to manage the driver. The system manages it for you.
But let's play devil's advocate for a second. What if I am a chronic procrastinator? Or what if I have a genuine last-minute emergency trip? Does the guide offer a lifeline, or am I just out of luck?
It offers hope, but it requires what they call high-fidelity data.
High-fidelity data. I like that phrase. What does that actually mean in this context?
It means if you are booking last minute, you absolutely cannot be vague.
Okay.
You need to provide landing time, exact passenger count, luggage amount, and exact destination immediately in the first communication.
Just give them everything up front.
Yes. The source says speed requires data. If a dispatcher has all the info, they can scan their fleet and slot you in.
Right.
If they have to call you back to ask, how many bags do you have or where exactly are you going?
That delay might cost you the car.
Exactly. Someone else might book it while they're waiting for your reply.
That makes perfect sense. Friction slows down the booking. If you make their job easy, they can solve your problem faster.
Exactly.
Okay, moving to strategy number 2. This is what I'm calling vehicle geometry.
Or Tetris, the Palm Springs edition.
Yes. The guide highlights a very common miscalculation here. People count the humans. They go, okay, there's 4 of us, but they completely ignore the gear.
This is the passenger versus luggage gap.
Right.
And the text notes that this is particularly acute in Palm Springs because of the type of leisure travel involved.
Because it's not a carry-on weekend. This isn't a quick business trip to D.C. with a little briefcase.
No. Visitors bring golf bags.
Yes.
And not just the slim Sunday bags, the full tour bags that are 4 feet long and bulky. They bring strollers for the kids. They bring multiple outfits for gala events or weddings.
The Palm Springs factor.
Right. It means the luggage volume is significantly higher per person than a standard trip anywhere else.
I've definitely seen this in person. You see a group of 4 trying to squeeze into a standard sedan, and one guy is sitting in the front seat with a suitcase on his lap.
Oh, yeah?
And they're trying to jam a golf driver into the backseat window. It looks completely miserable.
That is exactly the scenario the guide warns against. It breaks down the fleet options specifically based on this cargo need.
Okay.
It essentially says to ignore the seat count entirely and look at the trunk count.
So let's run through the fleet recommendations. Start with the sedan.
The guide positions the sedan as the discreet, quiet ride.
Okay.
It's strictly for the solo traveler or the couple, maybe 2 carry-ons and 1 medium suitcase.
Got it.
It's for the business traveler who just wants to get to the meeting. It does not fit golf clubs comfortably if you have more than 1 passenger.
Okay. But what if I'm coming for a golf trip with a buddy, or I'm bringing the whole family?
Then you have to graduate to the SUV.
Right.
The guide calls this the necessary choice for anyone with cargo. And notice they use the word cargo, not just bags.
Because it is cargo.
It is. If you have golf clubs, you need vertical height and length.
Yeah.
You physically cannot fit 2 golf bags and 3 suitcases in a standard sedan trunk.
It just won't close.
Right. And trying to save $20 by booking the smaller car.
Costs you way more in the end.
Exactly. Because either you're miserable the whole ride, or worse, you have to book a second car on the spot.
Which is at premium last-minute pricing.
Exactly. The guide explicitly says, don't try to squeeze. Comfort is part of the value proposition here. You want to arrive feeling fresh, not cramped and annoyed.
What about the larger groups? The bachelorette parties, the wedding guests?
For them, you look at group options, like sprinters or executive vans.
Okay.
The strategic insight here is something they call unit cohesion.
Keep the herd together.
Yes. Because if you split a group of 8 into 3 different Ubers, you introduce total chaos.
Oh, I can see that.
One car gets lost, one arrives early, one is late. Now you're standing in the hotel lobby waiting for 20 minutes for the last car to show up before you can check in.
That's so true.
But if you book a larger vehicle, you arrive as a unit. The party starts in the van.
I like that. It minimizes the herding cats phase of the group trip.
Exactly. It streamlines the whole arrival process.
Okay, strategy 3. We've booked early. We told them our flight number. We picked the SUV for the clubs. Now we're actually on the ground. This is the ground game.
Execution at PSP.
The guide has a very specific tip here about the pre-landing check.
Confirm your instructions before you land.
This seems basic, but I guess people just forget.
They do. They assume they'll just figure it out when they get to the curb.
Mm-hmm.
But once you land, you're dealing with a million things. Texts from family, emails from work, maybe spotty cell service inside the terminal.
Right.
The guide says to have the plan locked. Know exactly where you are meeting the driver. Is it the middle curb, the south end? Have that settled.
But the real pro tip here, the one I found most useful, is the baggage claim buffer.
Oh, this is essential.
Explain this buffer because it feels counterintuitive to not call the car immediately when you land.
So think about the common scenario. You land, you turn off airplane mode, and you instantly text the driver, I'm here.
Right. You're excited, you want to leave?
But you checked bags.
Ah.
So the driver pulls up to that very limited curb space we talked about earlier.
Right.
But you are still inside for another 20 minutes, waiting for the carousel to even start moving.
And now your driver is blocking traffic at the curb.
Exactly. And the airport authorities at PSP, who are very efficient, by the way, will make them move.
They won't let them just idle there.
No, they have to circle. So when you finally get your bag and walk out 10 minutes later, your driver is on the exact opposite side of the loop, stuck in traffic.
That is so frustrating.
It is. So the guide advises planning the pickup time for after you have the bags. Do not call the car to the curb until you are physically ready to step out those doors.
It prevents that awkward text dance of, I'm here, where are you? Oh, I had to circle.
Yes. It seems like patience actually equals speed in this scenario.
It really does. It's all about synchronicity. You want to walk out right as the car pulls up.
Exactly.
Now, for groups, the guide mentions a communication protocol.
The designated contact. This is crucial.
How does it work?
If you have a family of 5, do not have the dad, the mom, and the teenager all texting the dispatch office with different updates.
Oh, like we're at the north door? No, wait, we're at the south door.
Right. Yes. That sounds like a nightmare for the driver.
It is. It totally confuses the dispatch. The rule is to assign one person to be the comm officer.
The comm officer, I love that.
They handle the driver. Everyone else just follows that person. Keep it simple.
And there's a small tech tip regarding phones, too, right?
Phone accessibility. The guide notes that people often bury their phones in their backpacks while deep cleaning.
Oh, guilty. You're shoving your Kindle and your headphones away into your bag.
Right. Then the driver calls to say, hey, I'm at the second pillar, and it goes straight to voicemail because your phone is at the very bottom of a tote bag.
So keep the volume up, keep it in your hand.
Simple, but if you miss that call, you're standing in the heat.
True.
Now let's talk about the destination itself. The guide warns against using generic names for where you're staying. Why is that?
Because Palm Springs is the land of massive gated communities and sprawling resorts.
Right.
If you just say, take me to the Marriott, well, which entrance? The main valet, the conference center, the golf pro shop.
They could be miles apart.
Exactly. And the gated communities are even trickier. I've been to some of these places. The perimeter walls are literally miles long.
Much trickier. The guide emphasizes that GPS often takes drivers to the residence gate by default.
Which requires a transponder or a clicker.
Right. But you need the guest gate, which might be a mile away on the total other side of the complex.
Oh, wow. So you could be sitting at a gate you can't even open, just staring at where you want to be.
Exactly. The source advises using the specific address of the correct gate or adding driver notes like enter via Bob Hope Drive.
Precision prevents you from taking an unplanned scenic tour of the perimeter fence.
That is a very vivid image, but it's true. Precision is key.
Now, the guide also outlines some alternative options for people with different needs. There is the meet and greet.
Ah, the white glove service.
Basically, yeah. The chauffeur parks the car in the lot and physically meets you inside the terminal holding a sign.
Now, who is this really for? Is it just for VIPs and celebrities?
Not necessarily. The guide suggests it for anyone where cognitive load is an issue.
Cognitive load.
Yeah. Elderly travelers who might struggle with finding the curb or handling bags, families juggling toddlers and strollers.
Having an extra set of hands to carry luggage would be huge there.
Huge. Or business travelers who just want a seamless, zero-thought transition to the car.
It removes the search element entirely. You don't have to find the car, the driver finds you.
Exactly. It reduces the anxiety of the arrival to zero.
Then there is the LAX option discussed in the text.
Yes.
Why would someone fly into LAX in Los Angeles if they are going to Palm Springs? It's a trek.
It is a serious trek. It's usually about flight availability or price. Maybe you're coming internationally and there's just no direct flight to PSP from your home city.
Okay, that makes sense. So the guide covers the LAX to Palm Springs transfer.
It does.
What is the strategy there? Because that drive on the 10 freeway can be absolutely brutal. I've done it.
It can be.
Yeah.
The reality check is that you are looking at 2 to 3 hours, heavily depending on traffic.
Amen.
Right. The strategy is to prioritize comfort above all else. Do not do it in a compact car.
No. If you are in a vehicle for 3 hours after a long international flight, you need legroom.
You need a smooth ride.
And the source also suggests planning stops. Treat it like a mini road trip. Stop for a decent meal. Use a clean restroom. Don't try to just Iron Man it if you're already exhausted.
It turns the commute into a decompression period rather than just an endurance test.
Exactly. You're driving past a windmills, you're seeing the mountains. If you're in a nice, comfortable car, it's actually a beautiful introduction to the desert.
But if you're cramped in the back of a tiny rideshare, it's absolute torture.
Speaking of rideshare, let's talk about the common pitfalls the guide mentions. They talk about the rideshare assumption.
This is the belief that Uber or Lyft works the exact same everywhere you go.
Which is the default assumption for most of us now. We just live by the app.
We do. But the guide argues that in smaller markets like Palm Springs, especially during those peak festival times we talked about, availability fluctuates wildly. You might open the app and see no cars available.
Or the surge pricing is astronomical, like 3 or 4 times the normal rate.
And there's the vehicle consistency issue again.
Oh, right.
You order a standard car, and you get a compact that physically cannot fit your golf clubs.
So private transport offers predictability.
Predictability is the key word. You know exactly who's coming, you know what car it is, and you know the trunk space is guaranteed for your gear. It removes all the variables.
The other pitfall mentioned is the buffer.
Ah, yes. This is mainly for the return trip to the airport or heading out to specific events. The advice is to build a solid time cushion.
Why is that so important in the desert?
Because the desert traffic can be very deceptive. One minor accident on Highway 111 can back things up for miles because there just aren't many alternate routes.
You're kind of boxed in by the mountains.
Exactly. If you schedule your arrival with zero margin for error, a 20-minute traffic jam completely ruins your dinner reservation.
But if you build in a buffer,
Then that same traffic jam is just a minor delay. You still arrive calm.
it's all about managing expectations.
And managing stress levels. The guide keeps coming back to this core idea that you can't control the traffic, but you absolutely can control your schedule.
So ultimately, the guide makes a very strong case for why you should go private. It's not just about luxury, it's about control.
It summarizes the argument as being about the tone of the trip.
The tone.
Yes, you get a professional chauffeur, clean vehicle, which they emphasize repeatedly,
Yeah.
and it sets a premium standard from minute one.
It's the difference between a simple transaction, just getting from A to B, and an actual experience.
That's a really great way to put it.
Okay, let's bring this all together. We have unpacked a lot of logistics here today.
We really have.
If we look at the big picture, a smooth arrival in the desert isn't about luck. It seems like it's built on 3 pillars: accurate data, spatial awareness, and clear communication.
Accurate data being the flight tracking.
Yes.
Spatial awareness being the luggage capacity. Respect the golf clubs.
Respect the clubs.
And communication being that coordination at the curb with your designated contact.
Yeah.
If you nail those 3, you win.
It's funny, we spend so much time planning the vacation activities.
Oh, absolutely.
We book the tea times months in advance. We make reservations at the hot new restaurant weeks out. We go buy new swimsuits.
We completely over-prepare for the fun parts.
But we often spend 0 time planning the transition.
That is the provocative thought I really want to leave everyone with today.
Okay, let's hear it.
We tend to view the airport transfer as just a commute, something to just get through before the vacation actually starts.
Right, it's just dead time.
But the source's philosophy suggests something completely different. Maybe the ride to the hotel is actually the first act of the vacation.
Oh, I like that.
If the overarching goal of the trip is relaxation, why start it with 45 minutes of high-stress logistics?
That's so true. If you are fighting with luggage, sweating on the curb, and arguing with your spouse about gate codes, you are definitely not on vacation yet.
You're still working. But if you step into a cool, clean car, the AC is blasting, the driver knows exactly where to go, and your bags fit perfectly.
Then the vacation has already begun.
Exactly. You can finally exhale.
Well, there you have it, the art of the Palm Springs arrival. To our listeners, next time you are heading to the desert, don't just wing it. Arrive ready. Thanks for listening to this deep dive.
Safe travels, everyone.